welcome to another edition of The Toll Files. And we're being joined by our new NRC champion, Rory Sutherland. Rory, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
It looked like it came right down to the wire.
It did. I think the whole season, it's kind of one of those things where it's important to the team, but I really don't think you can look at it until later on.
Yeah.
And the individual thing, we didn't really kind of concentrate on until Monday, until Atlanta. So, you just race your bike and you do your best and you do your best for your teammates, and I think that's what it came down to in the end anyway.
It's interesting because I think back to when we really first saw you racing here in America, and that would be at the Amgen Tour of California. I think you impressed a lot of people from that moment on and really never looked back this year. Were there any low moments that I didn't pick up on?
Yeah, there's always low moments, where things don't go as well as you hope they did in the team. Like, it doesn't gel possibly one weekend like it should have, and then you learn from those mistakes and kind of bounce back from it and look at the second half of the season from it. So, but realistically, like, down moments, I kind of stayed on my bike the whole year. I didn't get really sick very often. The timing of the races seemed to go really well, where it fit pretty much into my program, but I'm ready to have a break pretty soon.
Does that break include going back home to Australia?
It does, but I'm planning on actually hanging around in Boulder for into the winter, shall I say.
It'll be interesting, because it's so much different here that time.
Yeah.
And I know that you're the kind of guy, you've traveled the world, haven't you?
Unfortunately, sometimes, yes.
Actually, I'm going to go back to bike racing really quickly. As a guy who's had extensive experience on 3 different continents at this point, not only compare and contrast American racing right now to what you saw in Europe when you were with Rabobank, but also to what you saw in Australia the last couple of years. Give us a grade first off. How are we doing here?
Good. I don't think it's anything you can put a grade in, because it's you're not comparing apples and apples.
Sure.
It's for the 3 continents that I've raced in, it's 3 very separate things, and I think it also has to be raced in a different way in each of the continents, or each of the areas, so to speak. So in Australia, you have to learn to race a little bit different. In the US, you need to learn to race a little bit different, and that's done by, I think, the riders, the type of riders that are around you, the type of courses there are, the type of teams that are involved, and what's important in that country. In Europe's, it's different again.
Is the American racing more aggressive early?
It's kind of interesting going from one side of the country to the other, and kind of everything changes, like the style of racing switches, the weather switches, and things like that. And it's just it's something that I've never done before, and I definitely haven't got used to it yet, is all the travel back and forward and around the place. But it's, I definitely think that the racing here seems to be developing in the right direction anyway.
There's all the travel, and obviously America, a huge country. The number of miles that you've been in planes this year has got to be the highest that you've seen.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Australia, you do a lot of flying around.
Well, you do, but generally, because it's so far away from Europe, that you generally stay in Europe for the entire year.
Right.
I think in 2005, I spent 8 full days in a plane.
Wow.
So that was pretty
That's
much my record. Yeah. 52 or 53 separate flights that year or something. So
wow.
Had some good miles.
Yeah, I bet. But when you look back on the season here in America, and it's interesting to hear your comments about racing styles being different. Did you find one part of the country where it was your favorite to race? And you sort of see how it breaks down, where the mid-level tours like Hood and Cascade are up in the Northwest, and they're even talking about having a tour of Evergreen, a tour of Washington State.
Sure,
now, yeah. California seems to have, like, obviously the Amgen Tour of California, that is the holy grail of racing in America right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
It seems pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But then you sort of have these weekends of racing that take you through that time of the year, which looks like it gets to be a bit of a grind.
Yeah, it does, but I'm the first to say that I whinge a lot about travelling around, and you can ask anyone in the team, but I do have comments to say on a lot of different subjects. But at the end of the day, it's your job, you're getting paid to do it, and normally I'd say you put up and shut up, but I don't shut up. Right, but I do it.
And to your credit, though, it's sort of your MO, and it's sort of what keeps things fun and light on the team as well. As you know that Rory's going to have some kind of a problem with everything, right?
Sometimes, yeah. I don't know whether it's a nice light to be seen in, but that does happen to happen.
Let's be honest, it's part of your shtick.
It is. It's just that's who I am.
Yeah, and so when we look at the guys who have to put up with Rory Sutherland throughout the year, certainly Carl Menzies comes to mind. And actually, Wanted to just take a side note.
No, I'll stop you. You've got to try and put up with Carl Menzies.
Yeah, no, that's
something
fair.
different. That's a whole different thing.
You're actually dead on there. But it sounds like by the time you guys made it to the middle part of this season, there was a core group on HealthNet, and I would throw Frank Pipp into that group as well, yourself, Menzies, that you tell me if I'm wrong, but when push came to shove, and this has been a very tough negotiating season, as a matter of fact, gut-wrenching is the word that comes to mind. I mean, I don't know if you heard anything with Tim Duggan or Blake Caldwell with the Slipstream team, but they're going through losing some really quality riders. Sure. You guys came up with a fairly novel approach in this sport, and something that, and tell me if I'm way off base as well, but it sounds like you sort of packaged yourselves as far as Menzies, Sutherland, and Pipp were going to be on the same team next year. It was just a matter of what team it was going to be. Loosely?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you're definitely right there, and I think the way that actually came about was that the way that we've raced this year and how long it took us to actually, with all the new, and me being one of the new people as well, to actually understand how everybody works, what to expect from everyone, how it all, welds in together. Once we actually got that, it's something that you don't want to lose as well. So I think with the negotiating part, I think that HealthNet had a plan to keep a core group of riders there. And sure, there's other important riders who have left as well, who have been instrumental to the whole way the team's worked all this year and past years as well. But there's also the financial aspect of it as well. That if people get a bigger offer from another team, it's a tough one to do.